afternoon, and welcome to this month's Self-Build Hour. For those of you who have joined us before, welcome back. For those of you who are new to this format, and just a brief reminder, we've put together the Self-Build Hour in order to provide resources for self-build education directly to you as a self-builder in the convenience of your own home, as well as in the convenience of being able to access the information whenever it is convenient to you. So with that in mind, I'll remind everyone that we are recording today, and this recording will be posted online after the event, and you'll get a notification when that is up and ready to go. And all the previous episodes are always available on the Self-Build Hour resources page. A few other reminders of logistics. We do have a Q&A function within the meeting. During the presentation, please feel free to use that function to type any questions that come up. And after the presentation, we will have the opportunity to ask those questions to our speaker. And it's one of the benefits of being here live during the presentation. If you don't have the Q&A section, please feel free to use the chat section, and we will also check that. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to today's speaker. We are joined by Sophie Whittaker of Küchehaus, and she has education and background in interior architecture and spatial design. Her early experience was dealing with residential architecture and designs, and that has led into a career within the kitchen, bedroom, bath industry. And now she is one of the lead designers at Küchehaus. So she's here today to talk to us about kitchen design and what you need to get started. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Sophie. So go ahead, Sophie, you can turn on your camera and microphone, and I'll let you share your screen. See, I can't hear you, Sophie.
Let's try now.
That's perfect.
There we go.
That's great. Okay, well, thank you very much.
No, thank you. It's a lovely introduction. So hi, my name's Sophie, and I will quickly share my screen and we can go through the presentation today. So I am hoping, let's have a little look.
That's perfect.
There we are. Excellent. There we go. Hopefully you can see that all right. So I'm hoping to help everybody find out how they can get the most out of their kitchen design. So it's a big thing. It's not something you do all of the time, and it's quite exciting. And hopefully I'll be able to go through a few key points that'll make the process a bit easier and guide everyone through. So the main factors to consider when designing a kitchen is to take into account the role of the kitchen designer. So we're here to help you, I'm here to help you, and I'll try to learn everybody individually with every design that I do. Another key factor is influencing the actual design choices, and they're all completely unique, again, dependent on how you use the space and what the space actually entails, whether it is open plan, whether it's contained to its own separate area, whether you're wanting it to work alongside another space. It is endless. And also in terms of how I can personally help everybody get the most of appliances and materials too. So, but we'll go through it all. So the first one is the role of me and the benefits of actually having a kitchen designer. So I love when clients will come to me and they'll have everything all laid out and they've done a bit of research themselves. However, also it's I have all sorts of kitchen knowledge at the back of my mind where I can perhaps add in little touches that maybe people wouldn't have thought of, bringing in a different perspective, and that way you can evaluate what you've already put together, but also the little touches to see if it would help you. So specifications and making a room flow. So with a lot of open plan spaces, like I mentioned quickly before, it's more and more popular. People want that open living to adjoin a living area, a dining space, and they want it to continue the whole way. So we're able to decide if it can be maybe a big functioning island that'll blend in with the rest of the furniture that you have, or maybe you want the opposite and you want it to stand out and you want that area to be the hub of the entirety of the space. So even though it's a living area and it's joined on with the rest of the kitchen, I'll be able to help guide everybody into using that space. So for example, if you're cooking and you don't want everybody to be down the living area and you're segregating all of your guests while someone's cooking and stuck away, a quick way to do that would be to incorporate some clever seating, some nice lighting, and people naturally gravitate towards that. So as you come into the room and it is all laid out, if the kitchen's designed in the best possible way, you'll gravitate to it rather than maybe a equally lovely comfy seat. You'll go to where the life of the party is, and you can do that with an open plan space. So of course I'll work with each layout of the entirety of the home rather than just looking at the kitchen itself and putting in boxes that fit. We're able to completely bespoke and tailor that area to work alongside you individually, and I think that's a really, really important part and role of what the kitchen designer will do. It's not just the kitchen, even though it's in the name. You need to look that a little bit further to it, so that next barrier, that whole space around it, on how it's going to connect with the rest of the space. You don't want something that's going to be completely by itself, and even if it's maybe functional, it doesn't fit, it doesn't quite work. But yes, it's on to topic 2. So key factors in influencing the design of your kitchen. So this is kind of the nitty-gritty part. So for me, this is the layout I mentioned previously, but appliances come into a big portion, because not only are there lots of different brands out there, every brand specializes and does something the best their way. So a good example of that, if you've ever watched Bake Off, or you're like cooking yourself and you've used an F appliance before, they are the only brand that has the slide and hide. So if a client has a space they're trying to get really the most out of, but we've got maybe a narrow walkway, the slide and hide is perfect for that, because what it does is it gets that door out of the road entirely, and you can use telescopic rails to pull towards you to still gain access to maybe a roast dinner that's inside, but the door just completely goes. Whereas ventilation systems, they're becoming more and more popular with your hobs and your extractors. We work very closely with Bora because they are the best at that. They were the pioneers in that technology. So if someone's looking for a vented hob, Bora's normally, that's in my mind to at least demonstrate, to show why they do what they do. So knowing the client, important part, but the appliances come into a big kind of outer circle too, because not only what goes in it, but also the amount is important, and that influences the end look. So what I mean by that is, if somebody wanted an oven and a combination microwave, but was maybe a coffee buff like me, I'm never too far away from a cup of coffee, but I would never have a continuation of a stack of appliances that way, because what it does is it gives you a really, really tall column that's not ergonomic at all, because what you end up doing with your coffee machine at the top is you're reaching up so high a hot liquid, and that's just not a good idea. So then I'll know to maybe, well, if we're trying to include that, why don't we offer a breakfasting pantry? Maybe we can create a nice little pull-out nook for a coffee machine, just as an example. But because what we do here at Küchehaus is that little bit different, we're able to tailor it again. So if I need that little special space for a particular appliance, maybe an air fryer, small tabletop, we're able to make sure it connects to the rest of the furniture and still make it handy and usable. So there's lots of things to do with appliances that really do tie into how the overall will look, even though it might seem at first it's just oven tick, induction hob tick. It's really good to get into all the different types of models available. But I'm here to do that for you as well. So ideally, by the end of a consultation, I will already have a list of little models I'll be able to include and explain why I've included them. So again, for example, just quickly going back to the Bora, if it's a larger space, having the ventilation system that can go straight to the outside is fantastic, because it means there's no visible ducting. But Bora does it the best because they keep the strength in the motor for up to 6 meters, and nobody else does that. So even just for me glancing at a plan as a kitchen designer, I'm able to see, okay, we've got a slanted ceiling with that far away from the wall. I know that appliance will tick multiple boxes there. So they really do that. They're an important part. And setting tone with the right cabinetry. What I mean by that is being sympathetic to the entirety of the build. So if somebody has maybe an extension through a more traditional property, the last thing I'd maybe be recommending would be a very super high gloss. Maybe we'll want something a little bit more contemporary, but not necessarily old world shaker. So it's just adding little touches, so when you come into the space, it's not a shock to the system to see, oh, there's this big kitchen here that doesn't fit at all with the rest of the house. It's supposed to feel completely natural, and it works with you, with your own stylings, but also the building itself. And then I've got worktop space and storage. So these are equally as important as each other, but it's important to have a kitchen that looks really lovely and looks amazing, and you'll have everybody coming in going, oh my goodness, this is just stunning. But it's also got to work and to function. So again, part of that consultation stage, that important conversation at the start, I will try to learn how you use your kitchen and what you do. Are you an avid cook? Do you have children? Do you have people around quite consistently? What are the key things? Because that tells me how much worktop space versus storage that we might need and where we're going to need it. So someone, for example, that maybe it's a family home, there's going to be children doing homework, sitting at the breakfast bar having breakfast or lunch. A good way is the separation of space in materials there. So we're able to again add little design tweaks in while giving whoever's using the kitchen their amount of worktop space in that scenario. And then of course storage, and so we can include pull-outs and very ergonomic sections of clever little storage to house everything that we need without it looking bulky or cumbersome or lots and lots of itty bitty drawers. We're able to really make sure the whole thing is cohesive. And illumination, I know that's at number 7. That probably is for me the most important. So lighting, if it's done well, can completely transform space completely. Having open plan again, or even if it's just a kitchen by itself, coming in and seeing the different levels of lighting completely elevates it. It can show texture, it can completely change the atmosphere, and also it can make it more usable. So to have your area lighting, your task lighting, as well as maybe some feature lighting, that's the trio that I'll always look out for. So what I mean by that is you can have your under cabinet lighting on, your little accents. We can maybe illuminate some open storage. We can do something quite clever underneath, along the plinth or underneath the worktop, and that's just to give a subtle glow, warm or more natural throughout maybe an evening. But then if you're using the kitchen, maybe you want a little bit more, so then you take it up to maybe some task lighting, some feature pendants, something that gives more to the design but also helps in terms of you can see what you're doing. And then of course last resort, the area light. Nobody really wants to put the big light on fast all the time, so giving the opportunity for levels, I think, is really important. And I'll move on to So topic 3, what you need to know to get the most out of working with a kitchen designer. And it's, Pinterest. Pinterest is a godsend for things like this, because what you're able to do whenever you have time, it doesn't have to be a case of you've got to put your head down and blinkers on for an hour and get through the kitchen design. Because you can effectively let me do that. Let me do the hard stuff. Sit down with a glass of wine, get a Pinterest board open, and just scroll through and add the things that you like. It doesn't have to be the same style. It can be anything that catches your eye to the same board, because what that'll do when you come in and you come and show me and say, I've got this Pinterest board here, I'm able to see the correlation between everything. So even though it might not seem that they're very similar, I'm able to pinpoint the things that maybe you do like about it. So I'll notice maybe there's a little touch of wood or a lot of wood in a lot of them. So are we looking for warmth in that case? There's a lot of light worktops, a lot of these things that you've pinned. Are we looking to bring lightness into the room, or do we just like that white top? So there's always a reason why something will catch your eye, and I'll try to unwind and pick what that exactly is, and that'll help find what you're looking for. And what that does closer towards the end of the process is that will give you that aha moment where I found what it is, I've knocked it out the park, it's all there, and I didn't even know I was looking for that, but that's it. That's you've designed what I was meaning, what I've been trying to describe. And another thing that's helpful is a wish list. So what I mean by that is if there's anything that is a must-have, a non-negotiable. So for some, that's a range cooker. For some, that's a really, really large amount of fridge and freezer space, because maybe do a lot of prep cooking. We would just like to have all of this cold storage available. Having those ready will again help me with the layout, because I'm able to put that non-negotiable top of my list, and that's able to be almost a starting point sometimes when I'm pulling a design together. I'm able to know that this goes in first, and we will work around that. And then of course budget. So people always get a bit like, oh my goodness, when we get down to the nitty-gritty when it comes to funds. But you can go from one end of the scale completely to the other with kitchens. And especially with us, because we can do very, very what we would consider straightforward kitchens. We can do very particular bespoke level kitchens. And I've designed kitchens for £5,000. I've designed kitchens for £90,000. So it's a really long piece of string. I'm not ever looking for a particular to the penny price, but if you can give me just a vague number that's been sitting at the back of your mind that you would love it to be under, I can help with that, because I'm able to put everything in from that wish list, include the feel of things we're looking for from the Pinterest board. But having that number there floating around, I'm able to know, okay, so I've got everything in that we're looking for, but how can we maybe just get it a little bit under? And I'm able to tweak and change things without changing the aesthetic or the look. There'll be certain bits that I'll know that are available that can change things. So an example would be, we'll go back to that white worktop again. There are hundreds, there are so many. There are some that you will look at hand in hand, and they will look so subtle, such a subtle difference. But one will be maybe a few £1,000s more because of a satin finish compared to the other one. So we're able to get under where we need while keeping what we like, that light worktop. So there's, it's not necessarily a bad thing, and never anything to shy away from, but it's something there that's to help both of us, if you like. And then researching appliances, that's helpful in terms of availability as well. So if you have a particular brand that you've liked using before, some people have had maybe Siemens their entire life, and that it's just worked for them. We work quite closely with them as well, but it's just, if you're looking to what's available, get a little grasp out there of the terminology and things, maybe pyrolytic, telescopic rails. I can happily go over it with you, but it'll help you as well ahead of time to know what is out there, and if there's something you want more information on, or something that online is described in a big, bulky paragraph of this is what it is, but actually I just want someone to show it me. I want to see I would like it or not, and I'm able to show you maybe in the showroom at that point. So it's it's a sea. It's a sea of knowledge when it comes to kitchens. There's so much, but yes, I'll be able to help where I can. And finishes. That's always useful because it can work with the rest of the house, and it's helpful to keep in mind even just tone. So I'm not expecting someone to come to me and say, I would love a graphite gloss kitchen with this particular beveled edge in this sheen and size. All you can say to me is, you know what, I think I like the look of the darker styles. What is available? And I can go into, from the consultation, from getting to know you, and maybe recommend the right one. So what I mean there is, if someone comes to me and says, you know, I would love a gloss kitchen, I'll go, why? And always the answer to that is because it's easy to clean. And they're not, well, they're easy to wipe down, but you see every fingerprint, and that's why they're considered easy to clean, because with a wipe, the fingerprint's gone. But to me, you can go a step further and you can get a satin lacquer door, and what that does is that eliminates the fingerprints completely. So they have a fingerprint resistance to them, and then by that logic, you don't have to be cleaning them all the time as well. So there's definitely details to look at in terms of finishes, but also just the layer. Again, get the most out of your kitchen designer. Come to me and ask me as many questions as you like, and I'll be able to offer different availabilities and different finishes that are out there. So in summary, whether you are doing a smaller project or a larger project, a good kitchen designer will help you through the entirety. So right from the concept stage, the initial consultation, right through the very finishing touches. It is a process. I'm not going to lie, it'll take a while, but my goal is to make sure that when you first have it put into place, along with the rest of your home, your extension, you come into it and you just go, oh, I'm so glad we took that extra time. This is perfect. And then in 10 years, 20 years, I want you to come in with the little accent lighting on, and with the fingerprint resistant door, nice white, and still think the same thing. So it's definitely something that we will work with you and tailor to you. But yes, that really is that's all from me. I hope that was an okay overview. There really is, like I said, quite a lot, but my details just on the screen if you'd like to take a note, and if you want to pop in to have a tour around the showroom or meet me in person and ask a few questions that you want and more in depth on, please feel free. An email, phone call. I will talk all day. I just noticed the screen. I've been talking for nearly 32 minutes non-stop. My gosh, so it's thank you very much.
Sophie, that was really, really helpful. There's a lot of key components of that I think a lot of people don't think about when they're designing their kitchens. You know, everyone sort of thinks, oh well, you know, I've got a basic layout for the kitchen. I can take it from here. I've looked at appliances before. I've had appliances before, but there are a lot of specifics in terms of the knowledge that you have. You know, different types of finishes and what they can offer, and the different ranges of appliances, and how they can actually help facilitate some people's particular lifestyle. So one of the questions coming in, and this is a common question whenever we have sort of consultant type designers, is at what stage would you typically get involved in a project, or at what stage like to be involved in a project?
Oh, it's a very good question, because I've had clients come to me from very early thoughts, even before plans, and just to have a little gauge of what they would like to fit in, and then basing that on what their the next stage will look like for them. But typically, I would say once you have a good grasp of the space that we're going to work with in terms of size. Once we know the room that it's going to be in and roughly what that's going to be like, that's a great time to come in, because what I'm able to do is have that conversation and get the ball rolling, and it gives you maybe food for thought, but I'm able to work with you. Now we know what the size of the space is like, to see, well, we could put this here, we could do this. What about if I've seen, let me show you a kitchen that I've done previously and they had it in a similar layout to you, and you can see previous projects to again, it's just about ideas at this stage, but it's, yeah, I would say once you know the size, that's a good place to start.
Okay. And along those same lines, are there ever circumstances where a client comes to you with aspirations and actually their layouts or floor plans won't meet those aspirations, and then there's sort of a back and forth with?
There's normally always one compromise, and I'll try and prepare people for it, because there's always something. So I guess it doesn't happen often, because we can make everything bespoke, like I say. So if I have a particularly awkward space, or if there's a gable roof, or there's just something there's a roadblock, I'm able to speak with the workshop next door. We have this funny space, could we do something clever here? I know we haven't done it before, but could we do this? And the best part of my job is normally I can say, yes, we can do that. It just takes a bit of extra thought sometimes. So there'll sometimes be something, but there's always a workaround to it. And sometimes that thing as well is, we can't fit that in, but what about this? We can do this. And that might have a different benefit that is a good compromise. So I'll always try to make sure people aren't missing out on anything, but I think a good design will make space for what the client needs and their priorities.
Yeah, well, and you make a good point that there's a real benefit to going with a kitchen designer and a kitchen provider who can make those types of modifications, being able to go talk to the workshop and find out if they can do something bespoke within a range of products. So for a little bit of just that extra bit of thought and care going into it, you can get a lot more out of your space.
Completely. We're so lucky to have them next door. They're so talented and so good at what they do, and I'm really nosy, so it's really good for me, because I'm able to see on my screen all of the designs, and you do the paperwork 24/7, and you really do see everything in the model. But then to see it come to life next door, it's amazing. I watched a coffee pantry get built this morning with all of the detailed drawers made out of the same carcass material, and it all matched in, and then with just some LED. Oh, it was lovely. It was lovely to see.
I have a question that's come in about appliances. So what are the relative merits of overhead extraction versus downdraft? And the person saying that they are expecting that both extract moisture, but do they also eliminate smells, or does one do it better than the other?
Really, really good question. So there's benefits to both. The way that the overhead extraction will work will definitely be the same with moisture, but it will be less effective with smells. But only I'm sure your cooking smells lovely, but the reason is it will all go upwards, and it's going past you. And the way that steam will work is it will go in an upward triangle like this. So the motor, there's a calculation you can do to make sure that with the size of the room, it's powerful enough to bring everything in and stop that from escaping. However, the benefit to the countertop extraction systems is that it's taking everything at source. So that's where Bora actually originated from. So the maker of the company, the creator of the company, actually had that exact thought of how can I make this more efficient, and it was the center extraction. The steam literally just rises from the pan and immediately goes in. It's never going past eye height. And one of the demonstrations I'd actually be able to show you, if you haven't seen one working before, is I can chop an onion next to one of the ventilation systems, and you won't smell the onion. it won't make your eyes water because all of that vapor is going directly in. It's not passing you at all. But the overhead systems can be lovely for lighting. You can make a nice feature out of it. It's really dependent on if you want to see it, and if you want to have more of that cooking experience, those kind of smells around the kitchen, because some people do like that. But the smells, I would definitely say that the extraction systems as part of the hob, far more superior.
Staying on the subject of appliances, I know you've mentioned a few different brands that you work with. If someone comes in and they have particular brands that they absolutely want to use, is that okay? You work with those appliances as well?
We work with BSH quite a lot, so your Napier, Bosch, your Siemens, just because they are a good base. They are so popular, but also they do tend to last quite well. So if someone's putting one of our kitchens in, it's usually because it's not going to come out again anytime soon, and they want something to live up alongside that. But if someone comes to me and says, I've used, this Miele oven, I've had this Smeg range that I just adore, we will work with you. And also, whether you get appliances from ourselves or from elsewhere, that's also absolutely fine. It's just so we know, because what we'll do is we will make the housings completely to suit those appliances. So really, as long as I have the model numbers at the time of production, I'm completely happy, no matter what it is.
How about costs associated with the design element of it?
So the actual designing, so we offer it's a complimentary service. So it's, again, not something you do all of the time. And I think it takes the pressure off a little bit to be able to come have a coffee. We'll do that initial consultation, and I will design something for you, and I can send a few renders across. We don't charge for that. What we do ask for much further down the line is more of a commitment fee, so we know that you're interested in progressing with us. But that's not to say that you can't pop in, or could I see it in this colour? Could you just? I've had a little think. I've gone home. It just, again, it just takes the pressure off, because if I was to design it and then hand over a fee, it's I don't know, it just doesn't quite feel right to us. We're here to help, like I say, as much as we can, but yeah, there's nothing at all.
And you mentioned a range of costs for kitchens, and there will be some people who have a cost bubbling around in the back of their mind, but there will also be people that say, I just don't even know. I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I guess, what is the average cost of most people's kitchen? Not the super high end, not the really low end or tightly spaced, economy sized kitchen. Mm-hmm. And what are the factors that are really going to increase the cost of an island going expensive? There's certain finishes.
So in terms of, I would say average, it's a really good way to phrase it, because it's because there are so many different sizes, but I would say maybe around about the 20-25 is a good starting point, and that would be including your furniture, your bespoke elements in there, because everybody will have at least one, just to make sure it fits in as it should, your solid surfaces, and then your appliances and sinks and taps. But you are completely in control. I'll say this to clients as well, completely in control of what the end figure is. I'll be there to guide, but if you want to add in extras, if you want to maybe take stuff away, never a problem. It's such a fluid thing. I've never had two kitchens the same, let alone they're the same price. But I would say 20-25 is a good ballpark.
Okay, great, thank you. I've not got any more questions that have come in, so I guess I'll just ask you. You've got your information listed, so that's really helpful for anyone who has additional questions about maybe the specific their project that they don't want to share with the larger group. But where are you located? I mean, I know you're located in Scotland, but are there other showrooms around?
Not at all. So we are the one and only. We are through in the Trevi Business Park, so not far away at all. But it's we're in almost the end of the industrial estate. So you'll come all the way through. Our logo is bright orange, so you'll never miss us. And there's lots of parking, and you can feel free to phone in to make sure that I'm available. If you would like to pop in for a consultation, just give me a little heads up, and I'm able to set aside, or because we have such a busy week kind of through here. There's appointments, consultations, site surveys. It's always good for me to give you my undivided attention, especially if you're making the special trip just to come in and come see me and ask a few questions. So please do feel free, come find us and book a consultation if you would need.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much for today's presentation. I think that was really useful to understand all the decisions that go in. That's one thing that generally speaking, self-builders struggle with and are surprised by, just the number of decisions that
absolutely. I've just kind of appeared on here and just gone, whoa, all of this stuff, but hopefully everyone's able to take away little snippets and bits and pieces, but we will. A designer will help guide you through, so it all happens but doesn't feel as overwhelming at the same time.
Thank you very much. I will close by just sharing two top takeaways that I've put together. So I've said that from your presentation, I can really see that the kitchen design is really unique and personal to every single person. So understanding those needs and having a brief of not only including what you need in terms of spaces, but how you're going to use it is a key piece of information I think a kitchen designer will need to know. Having an understanding of how you use your kitchen appliances also inform that what kitchen appliances are appropriate design, and a kitchen designer will address considerations that are well beyond just cabinetry. They'll consider things like lighting and uses of the space that are not just kitchen related. They're the homework related ones. They're the entertaining related ones. And then finally, just material knowledge is key. And that's something that a lot of us won't have in-depth knowledge about when we're deciding on materials. We may decide on a material because we like it rather than because of how it functions. Well, thank you very much, Sophie. As a reminder, I'm here. You can probably hear some of the noise in the background going on. The NSBRC in Swindon is where we're filming from today, and we've got one of their shows going on this Friday and Saturday. So there are a few last minute changes being made. If someone lives local to that area and has the opportunity, please come down and benefit from a myriad of free lectures and opportunities to talk to industry experts and service providers throughout the industry. Additionally, we do have at the end of November coming up 2 days for self-build hour. These are going to be sessions that are divided based on whether you have a plot and are ready to progress to the next steps, or you're still looking for that plot and how to help you move forward in order to get through that plot finding search and what your next steps might be. We thank you all for your time and attention today. We'll be here again next month. As usual, the second Thursday of the month, that is November, and next time we will be joined by Michael Holmes from Home Building and Renovating magazine. He'll be talking to us about common mistakes in self-builds and more importantly, how to avoid them.